Fair Play Projects.
Hi, I'm going to show you two ways to thread a needle: single threading and double threading. Both work well and have their advantages. This needle is single threaded. The thread is pulled through with a knot at one end and a loose tail on the other end. This makes it really easy to unthread. That's good when you're sewing something that you might want to pull out. So if you're doing an embroidery project or something else that you want to be really neat, this is usually the way to go. If you make a mistake, you can easily unthread the needle, pull out the mistake, and then keep sewing after you rethread the needle. This needle here is double threaded. It is a longer piece of thread that's pulled through, and then both ends are tied together, which traps the needle onto the thread. This is a good thing if you're sewing with kids because they tend to unthread their needles by accident a lot. And it's also nice if you're hemming your pants or something because it makes it a stronger seam since the thread is doubled. But do keep in mind that if you're making a mistake, it's a lot harder to pull out. So I'm going to show you both ways to do it. Okay, so I'll start by showing how to single thread a needle. I have a roughly 18-inch length of embroidery floss here. This embroidery floss has 6 strands, which is pretty standard, and most of our projects use 2 strands to sew with, so we need to embroider with. So we need to separate the strands, and if you're using regular sewing thread, you don't need to worry about this. But to separate the strands, you just find 2 strands here, and then you're going to pull them away from the rest of the thread and save the rest of the thread for later. And now you'll hold these 2 strands together and just treat them as one thing from now on. So to get the thread onto the needle, I find it easy to snip the ends. Whoops, so you have a nice blunt end here. And then just should be pretty easy to get them onto the needle once you have the nice blunt end. And now you're just going to pull the thread through the eye of the needle until you have a 2 or 3 inch tail. And then you're going to tie a knot at the opposite end. We have another video for tying knots at the end. And now that's it. This is a single threaded needle. As you can see, easy to unthread and to rethread. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so now we're going to double thread a needle. For this one, you need a roughly 36-inch length of embroidery floss. Even though we want to work with 2 strands of embroidery floss, we are just going to separate and take out 1 strand of this. Since we're doubling the thread on the needle, this strand will become 2 strands that we'll work with. So again, to get the thread into the eye of the needle, I find it helpful to cut the end, have a fresh cut there, and then just stick it out a tiny bit from your fingers and put it through the eye. So then pull the thread so that the needle is in the middle of the length of the thread, and then line up the ends and tie a knot at the end. And so this needle is double threaded, and you're all ready to sew, whether you're doing double threaded or single threaded.